In the initial version of our project, our main file includes the Dragon header file, which defines the arrays for geometry, colors, and normal vectors. And so right now, when we're creating our model and then setting geometry, normals, indices, this is all coming from that header file directly. So we're going to change this, and I'll show you that in our laboratory configuration, GL262 Labs, under Common and Objects, we have the whole collection of the header files which define certain objects. So the Dragon is one of them. So we're going to change this to actually start using Object Loader. I'm going to comment out this line, and I'll probably move these two lines for the object model and the plane model, which we will be adding later on. These two lines I'm moving down here together to keep everything together with pointers to other objects, to the camera and the light. And so we have all of these down here. So this is just the top of our main file and some define directives right at the top. So now we can insert these new defines directly from the text of our handout. So number 3, I'm going to copy this and paste this right above the declaration of our model. Okay, so copy and paste. So this is how it looks like right now. I'll just make some alignments. And now for us to start using the file names specified over here, we just need to move to the next step. And directly under the object model, we have a reference to the plane model. So the plane is going to be like a ground level plane that we'll be using for the reference when we're moving around the world. So I'm just going to uncomment this line as well. I'll try to resize my source file so that you can see everything I have here. So at the top I have includes for our library headers, then shader, model, camera, then we have the light, the wavefront include, followed by our project configuration defines, followed by the newly inserted code for different models, and currently these two defines for the object file name and the plane file name. So the next step will be to add support for the plane object, which is just a flat plane, like a ground plane, and add the rendering code to our rendering function. So I just copy it from here, from our handout. This is number 5. Let's find our rendering function. Alright, and so directly above swap buffers, we're going to, after the object model is rendered, now we're going to paste this in. So this is the new code right here, right above the swap buffers call, and we're just going to update the ground plane by pushing it down in negative 0.5 units on the y-axis, then also scale it by making it 100 times larger in every direction, and keep the same view and perspective matrices when rendering the plane. Just for the reference, initially this floor plane object will be rendered as lines, so it should look like tiles or grid when we make it visible. So this is new update in our rendering function, and now we're going to replace these original lines that were dealing with predefined vertices, normals, and indices. So this time we're going to scroll down to the main function, find these lines right here, these 3 lines in our main function, just above uploading to the server. We're going to insert this code, right, or replace these lines by inserting this new code, which is now just copy and paste over this selection. The new code is creating the loader object, passes the path to the file name to the object, calls the loading function, then make sure that the vertices are present in memory, and then we set the geometry, check for the presence of normals, texture coordinates and indices, and set all these parameters to our model object. In case if this file name is not present when the program is compiled, then we revert to the old way of setting geometry and assuming that we're still including the object file to render our scene. Okay, so that is done. And then we're going to add similar handling for the plane model. So for the plane model, we have this part of code. So we just immediately after uploading to server of our object model, I'm going to insert this part of the code, okay, which handles the floor plane model. So we're going to use the solid color shader and upload its definition to the server the same way we upload the object. In the future, we may start using light with our floor plane if we make it look like a grass field, but for now I'm just going to comment this out because we're just using solid color shader. Okay, we can try building this program by pressing the build solution, and I'm getting an error here, which is a syntax error, and just appears that our statement that calls the plane model render function needs a semicolon at the end. So this was in our rendering function, the new code that we added here. So just plane model render needs the semicolon. Okay, we're going to save that. Build again. And press Ctrl F5 to run it. So now we have new object, a car, loaded into memory, and these lines represent that floor plane. So once we start moving around the world using our new camera, we should be able to see a better picture of this floor plane, which will look like a grid made up of these lines. For now, we're done with this part.